Welcome back to my YouTube channel BBC World News. I hope you'll be fine. This time we talk about news of the ceasefire agreement between the Israel and Hamas was met with a celebration across Gaza. Palestinians took to the streets chanting and dancing in response to the announcement. The news spread quickly and cheering could be heard in and the tent camp and temporary shelter. The ceasefire agreement follows days of the critical negotiation in Egypt mediated by the US, Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey. Now, over the past 2 years, Israel attacks have killed more than 67,000 Palestinians, displaced most of the population of Gaza, and caused famine across the Strip. Let us now take a closer look at the Palestinian arrested by Israel forces. Prisoner institutions say more than 11,100 are now in Eastern prison. The highest number indicate that include 53 women and 400 children under the age of the 18. Only 1,400 detainees have been convicted, and more than 3,500 are being held without charge or trial under that Israel called administrative detention. While we are joined now in our studio by our correspondent, and can you just talk us through exactly who these prisoners are, what they are being charged with, if a crime at all, and the potentially how its process is going to work from here? Well, we need to talk about this administrative detention first to remind our viewers how many Palestinians are in the Israel jail without even a charge of the knowing with their being held. Sometime it's over a post, sometimes it's over suspicious, but sometimes it's over the Israel forces reminding Palestinians that they can control their lives. They can make it more complicated if they even try and think about doing something that will be seen as resisting Israel military occupation. Now, despite the caution, I can tell you that so many homes in Palestine now are filled by joy, and with joy, they are hoping that their sons and daughters were going to be a part of these till the name that are being still discussed as we understand now in Egypt are still being formulated, but people are hoping that their sons who are serving lifetime, who have no other chance to leave prison but through a swap deal, are now trying to see their sons going to the there or not. Let's talk about the most prominent names including Marwan Beauty, who is fat father, and the fat father who has been seen as a future president. He ranked always very high in poll in Palestine as a future leader. He is seen as someone who has keen on keeping Palestinian unity. His wife is now in Egypt trying to secure that her husband is going to be among those names that are being discussed to be released, especially that we are talking about 250 Palestinians of high sentence and those who are serving lifetime who are expected to be released as part of the deal. And now we are have 303 Palestinian prisoners who already are convicted with the lifetime imprisonment. So these names are very sensitive because Israel does not want a leader like the Marwan Bagley who's going to come out and unity the Palestinian under the one umbrella. Fat and Hamas, he has been known as leader inside jail, really a unifying figure. So Israel has been viewing some name. Now it's really unlike that Hamas would be stopping the negotiation just cause of the name of the Marvel Beauty, just cause of the name of Abdul Beauty and Ahmad Saad. These are the prominent symbolic Palestinian prisoners inside Israel jail, but their release would be met with a lot of optimism among the Palestinians, especially as we talk about the future of government Palestinian. We have seen prisoner swap exchange before in these case fire negotiation. And based on that, can you just give us an idea of how it potentially could work in the coming days? Well, I can tell you that my career converting these Palestinian prisoner being released has been the highlight. It is a day of joy for the journalists to cover. In addition to all of this pain and misery and grief that we often report from the field day in a day out. So what usually happens is after they agree are these list of names that Israel would release the one who are expected to be released outside in the West Bank. Of course, there are people who are going to be deported, and there are people who are going to be released inside Gaza. The momentum usually happen after the Israel captives are secure and are handed over to the Israel side. That we are family coming from all over the occupied West Bank, for example, in the Ramla, trying to wait for the moment that their sons are going to be out of prison, and then we see the beautiful moments of the reuniting family again with one another. We see family who have not been allowed to even go to visitation to see their son inside the Israel jail, and they have been severely worried because we know how many prisoners have so-called died inside jail. We know that there has been torture and there has been a lot of mistreatment and medical negligence that led to these Palestinians being dead or killed in Israel jail. That fear has all been occupying Palestinians, especially that we talk about 1 million Palestinians who have been in jail in and out since 1967, And just before we move on briefly, if my memory serves me right, the had Israel actually strictly celebration from one prisoner release either in this year. I tried this several times during the prisoner release. Whenever they see a family gathering near the prison, they shoot tear gas bomb. They try to shoot toward journalists. We ourselves got injured. Some of our team member by tear gas, and they consider we are trying to cover this. They do not want Palestinians to see this is a movement joy as a moment of the jubilation. Even thought for those family who are waiting for their son and daughter to come home, it is indeed, and it's going to be a very happy moment. Yeah, indeed, stay with us. Call I want to get you through on the Palestinian president Mahmoud Abbas, who has welcomed the announcement of a ceasefire agreement. In it, he said, "We welcome President Trump announcement of an agreement to stop the war in Gaza. We hope that the agreement will be a stop and a step toward a lasting political solution that will lead to an end to the occupation and establishment of a Palestinian state." He went on to say, "We appreciate the effort of President Trump, an international mediator, and reaffirm our readiness to work with partners to make an agreement success." And just give that statement, how do you think Abbas and Hamas will actually deal with one another going forward? So let's remember, before the internal Palestinian split that has been going to the since 2006 2007, the Palestinian Authority has been the body that has governing the occupied West Bank and the Gaza Strip. Even though the entity are under occupation, the spirit has caused Palestinian allure it not necessarily just on the diplomatical front that are we looking like a country that is not unified, and but also when we talk about people in the street, they would tell you that their struggle to end Israel occupation has been hampered and hindered by the Palestinian politician and leader not being able to bridge their gaps and reunify under the unity. Now the Palestinian Authority now is in a very critical moment. It is trying to prove that it can take control over Gaza. It can be the party extracted to rule, but as we are seeing from the Trump 20-point plan, the idea now is not for Palestinians to govern themselves as much as it's going to be an internal international stabilization force, and that there is going to be a peace bond and led by the President Trump and the former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair to be governing the Palestinian in addition to oversee a local day-to-day governing body. So all of that is being seen by Palestinian and as an attempt to undermine Palestinian ability to govern themselves. So the Palestinian Authority, by the way, has been cracking down lately and trying to step up fight of course against corruption to prove to the international community that they indeed are eligible and can rule Gaza. And whether they're going to be allowed, I think this is something we have to see in this talk that are going to go beyond. Please, obviously that is a huge concern, and one of the main criticism of Donald Trump 20-point plan was that it really was put together without strong Palestinian voices over exactly who is actually going to go on. Once all was said and done, what can they do now to try and convince those like Donald Trump and other Arab leaders that they should be the ones of the have determination of over the future of their own state? Well, indeed, there are so many problems that we are facing the Palestinian Authority as it was governing the Palestinian when it comes to the corruption, when it comes to the lack of inclusion, when it comes to the unity. All of these issues have and the hinder and stop the Palestinian Authority ability from being able to say, hey, we let the Palestinian, whether they are in the West Bank or they are in Gaza, and we are really heading toward a strategy to end the occupation. All of the has kind of the limited and hinder Palestinian ability to govern themselves. But having said that, I and the Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been always trying to undermine the Palestinian Authority, and by trying to remind Palestinians that they can detain minister and official anytime by restricting movement in the occupied West Bank and remaining people that should know while the Palestinian authorities is the ultimately paying the bill. It is Israel who is governing day-to-day activity and day-to-day life. It's really important for all the international community to notice that Palestinians are the ones who have the sovereign right to govern themselves in their way of trying to liberate themselves from Israel occupation. Whether the momentum now around and the President Trump is there, and that remains is being a very big question. But as the Palestinians have been hearing a lot from the mediator like the Qatar, like Turkey, like Egypt, that there is an interest from them to hand over Gaza to the Palestinian Authority as a way of showing that Palestinians can indeed govern themselves, and they do not want some sort of the international office and international supervision. Whether that's going to be achieved, it's remain to be seen, but this is something definitely the Palestinians are going to push for. Okay, thank you so much and always for explaining and And guys, don't miss out and get the full picture. Subscribe to the BBC World News for the reliable news and expert inside. Like, share, stay ahead. Have a nice time. Goodbye.